Welcome to the T-Pac Arcade. Today's game is Fantastic Voyage for the Atari 2600. In this 1982 shoot-'em-up from 20th Century Fox and Sirius Software, you guide a microscopic submarine through a patient's vascular system to destroy a life-threatening blood clot. Like a lot of Fox games, this is based on a movie I've never seen, but I think I got enough context from the manual to play a mini-surgical submarine shooter, because as you might imagine, you're just maneuvering a vertically scrolling playfield, dodging and blasting stuff. Fantastic Voyage loops indefinitely, with increasing difficulty, where each round is a new patient to save. The rounds are broken into 6 phases of bloodstream warfare, where your goal is to keep the heart monitor from flatlining by repeated internal damage to whatever poor soul decided that tiny submissiles were a better idea than, I don't know, an anticoagulant, and that those submissiles should be guided by such inexperienced, uncoordinated hands as, well, mine. In the first phase, you encounter immune cells that launch across the artery walls, and enzymes that look like keys. Running into anything damages the patient and causes the heart monitor frequency to increase, so don't do that. And take special care not to run into the walls, because that releases tiny little antibodies that damage the patient even more if they scroll past you without being shot down. Luckily, the immune cells and enzymes don't do damage if they aren't destroyed, but you definitely want to blast the enzymes anyway, because that's the only method to restore the patient's health and stabilize their heart rate. Phase 2 is where you actually have to lay off that trigger, because it's a gauntlet of blood cells that hurt the patient if they get shot. The first time I played this game, I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to blast the blood cells, and I proceeded to kill my patient in short order, without having any clue why. But this time, I read the manual, as any good surgeon should. In my defense though, Fantastic Voyage still awards you points for shooting blood cells, which is sending me mixed signals. Do I want my patient to live, or do I want a new high score? Decisions. Phase 3 is home to lethal bacteria, which look like cute little 8-bit alien invaders. They damage the patient if they scroll past you, and they also take 3 hits to destroy. So it's a good thing this game features auto-fire, because the best method to kill the bacteria is getting right up close and personal and lighting them up. I wouldn't recommend getting up close and personal with bacteria in real life though, unless you like getting the flu. Phase 4 combines everything from the previous outings, which means regulating your fire to blow up enzymes and bacteria, while trying not to hit any blood cells at the same time. Unless you decide the extra points are worth a malpractice lawsuit, decisions. Phase 5 is the tunnel run, where the artery walls close in and you try to speed through without running into anything. The pixelated submarine looks pretty sharp, and I wouldn't want it to rupture a blood vessel, cause I'd hate to miss out on a new high score. I'd hate to accidentally kill my patient. And finally, Phase 6 is a gauntlet of tiny, indestructible clotlets, and ultimately, the big bad blood clot, which takes 15 shots to destroy. After that, rinse and repeat with the next patient. Oh yeah, and with all these phases, make sure you don't take too long, cause you're on a timer that slowly drains the patient's health. And I'd hate to miss my lunch break. I'd hate to accidentally kill my patient. Again. Hanging back at the bottom of the screen slows the scrolling, so you've got to play a little aggressive and move up to the middle whenever you can, to roll that scroll with a little more oomph. I love the playfield graphics in Fantastic Voyage. The colorful zigzag arteries and design variations for each element of the bloodstream are pretty neat, not to mention helpful when you're trying to figure out what you should and shouldn't blast at a moment's notice. I'm not a fan of the ugly brown displays at the top and the bottom of the screen though, and I wish the heart monitor actually had a dynamically changing line reading instead of just a bouncing dot, but I assume that's just a graphical limitation, so it's forgivable. The sound effects are great too. I love the spacey explosion echo that comes after you blast anything, and I even like the tension of the heart monitor beep getting faster and faster, although sometimes it made me so anxious that I almost flatlined before my patient. The most novel aspect of Fantastic Voyage, and my favorite part of the game, is how you have to avoid blowing up the blood cells. It makes for an interesting challenge in Phase 4, when you try to manage your fire for hitting the bad stuff and saving the good stuff. The challenge level of this game is entirely up to the player. It offers 3 difficulty settings: beginner, normal, and advanced, as well as an extended variation for each. My first goal was to roll the score at 1,000,000 points in the extended beginner mode, which was surprisingly easy since there's no timer there. And my second goal was to clear 3 patients in extended normal mode, because the third round is the first to actually include all 6 phases. And I avoided advanced mode altogether, because I'm not a real doctor, and I don't want to be held responsible for the countless deaths my lack of dexterity is sure to cause. Overall, Fantastic Voyage lives up to the fantastic of its title. It's the type of game that rewards you for playing aggressively, while still requiring you to play strategically. It taught me that high scores are worth a casualty here and there, and that I should never be allowed within 100 meters of an operating room, or a microscopic submarine.